Hey guys, how are you? My name is Mohit, and after a long request from a lot of you guys out of my life, today I'm doing a full tutorial-ish video on how to do a back window, how to shrink, how to prep, how to cut, and a lot of other things. So if you're looking for a stupid ass video which explains you pretty much everything, how to install a back window on pretty much any car, because the process will remain the same, but for today's video we have a Hyundai, I'm pretty sure this is a Hyundai Accent if I'm not mistaken. Let's check it again. We had some old tint on there. Yeah, this is a Hyundai Accent, so we'll be installing window tint on just this back glass. And the car was here with us to remove the old tint, which we already done. We cleaned the inside as well, so now it's just the installation process that's remaining. So let's get started without any other without doing any other things. I hope my audio and everything is all fine. You guys can hear me quite nicely, which is good. So today is the 11th, 6:22 that we have started. Let's see how much time it takes us to actually do the tint. So first of all, what I've done is I've cleaned that back glass really good, and then we'll install some sort of slip solution to the glass. So what I meant by slip solution is, if I just take a piece of tint, let's just take a piece of tint so it'll be easier for you guys to understand what I am doing to why I am doing it. So let's just take this piece of tint and put it on the back of the glass. Now, very important to know is tint has two sides to it. There is a tint side and there is a liner side, which is also called a backing sheet side. If I rub this against each other, see how this slides and glides easily? So that means this is the liner side. If I try to slide and glide this, it just sticks to it. That means this is the tint side, because tint sticks to each other, being a different sort of plastic material, and this will slide and glide with each other, being a different sort of material. Now if I place this on top of the glass, you see how this just sticks to the glass. And imagine if I'm shrinking it down, I'm actually moving the tint inside, and because the tint is not sticking to the glass, it will not let it glide and slide onto the glass, and eventually when I'm shrinking, it might crease or do some sort of other things to it, or it might be harder to shrink it down. And also because of the heat, it might shrink even more. So see, if I put my hand on it, I just can't move. You know, it's very hard for me to move this tint. So this is what we'll install, some sort of slip solution to it. So it just makes easier for my tint to slide and glide the glass a little bit smoother way. All right, so let's go with, there is like a lot of other solutions you can use. There is a soap solution that you can use. So people like to put a bar of soap in a bag, and then you can use you can just rub that against each other. The leather, the foam that comes out of it, you can use that to just rub against the back of the glass. Or you can use what's called dryer sheet. So they're not very expensive. You can just use dryer sheet. If you don't have dryer sheet, maybe ask your friends or neighbors or whatever, and they might have some dryer sheets for you. You only need one dryer sheet, depending on if you're doing maybe one or multiple applications. So with any water, just normal water or some soapy water, have that dryer sheet and crush it like this. So once you start crushing it, it'll lose the chemical that's inside the dry sheet. All we got to do is just rub it onto the glass. So see how this forms up? This is what we need. That white stuff is all we need on top of that glass. And they'll act like they'll be, so just take this off, just take the gloves off. I like wearing gloves because I want to protect my hands, and that nasty chemical just absorbs into the hands and make them dry. So this is like a little bit easier process. And now, because we are doing a tutorial, so that way I need that process to be a little bit quicker. So I need something that can quickly dry that solution for me. I need that solution to be dry before I can put my tint on it. So we'll just use some external source of heat, which is heat guns. So let's turn it on and trying to make this, trying to dry this out as quick as possible. So we have that turned on to full blast, and we'll just keep on using that. So as you can see now, all of the solution that I have actually added on to the glass. So this is a little bit hot now, which is fine. All of that solution that I added on there, this has gone to sort of a satin or a matte finish on top of the glass. So if you can see the reflection of the lights in there, you'll be able to see that how it's gone satin. So it's almost dry. It has to be 100% dry before you do anything on it, and that'll make your tint slide and glide on top of that glass way more easier than anything. So I've got my tint, which is pretty much cut already. Now this is a Suntech, I'm pretty sure this is an HP 15%, which is a high performance. Yep, so HP 15% charcoal, not something super expensive, not something very cheap as well, so it's a good quality tint. So that's what we're using today. I just have a big piece and we'll just use that. So the first thing we're gonna do is lay your tint on top of the glass, and then we'll cut it a little bit extra than where my dot matrix is. So what I mean by dot matrix is these things there. So that's where the dot, so this is the whole matrix where it starts, where it's having where it's starting to have these dots. This is what we call a dot matrix. So where your dot matrix starts, I want to leave about an inch gap from that dot matrix, and then we'll just cut the extra. That way it makes handling the tint and shrinking the tint a little bit easier for us. So this is what we'll do. We'll just cut that tint to the shape of the glass. So now what I'm doing, I take my thumbnail as a leverage against the border of the glass, and that'll give me a rough idea of where I'm cutting. So I don't want to cut into the seal, into that rubber seal as well. So this is what I was doing. I had my nail on top of the seal and I was just gliding that across. This extra bit can just go inside the bin. If you want to keep it for any quarter windows, you can, but for this video we'll just throw this into the bin. Let's leave it there. Now this is what we called a felt card, or this is a normal card. You can use anything you like. You can wrap around a microfiber towel on top of your credit card if you're doing it at home. So you can just wrap around a microfiber towel on top of your credit card, and you can use this to shrink down the film. Same way I'll use that. You can use anything like this as well. So this is no issues there. Make sure it's a microfiber towel, not something that can melt or burn away. So do not use anything which is nylon or just any sort of towel that was just laying around your home. You want to use that. Now make sure it's microfiber, good quality microfiber towel. So we want to make this tint tag in the center because I don't want that tint to move up or down meanwhile I'm shrinking it. If it looks like your tint will shift a lot, what you can do is you can add a little bit of water on the back, so you can wet your hands, or you can wet your card or anything, or a microfiber towel. Just make a line across there, and then you can make another line across that part, and then lay your tint back on. So that will help your tint not move or slide and glide around way easier than it might have. So this is not a lot of shrinking that we have to do. So let's just start with the shrinking process. So what a normal shrinking might look like is something like this. So instead of mountains which look these kind of things, you'll see that your tint will start making waves which look like that. When you see these waves, we'll squeegee them around. As you can see, I'm only shrinking the area where I'm only pressing the area where I have already applied shrinking or heat to. I'll apply heat, I'll shrink it down. Apply heat, shrinking down. Apply heat, shrinking down. Apply heat, shrinking down. Okay, just like that. Now we'll come to the bottom part. I'll just keep on applying heat, and then we'll keep on shrinking down. As you can see, my card is not going all the way down because I haven't shrunk that area yet. Now we'll come to the bottom. So I'm just moving that. My heat gun is on full blast, so that means it's on maximum heat. And that will depend. If you want to have less heat, you can just move your heat gun a little bit further away from the tint and you'll have less heat on the glass. If you want to have maximum heat, just move it more closer to the glass. This is how I control it. Let's start shrinking this part. So as you can see, I'm just moving this. I'm not even shaking it a lot because it's just shrinking very nicely on top of that glass. There you go. We've only got one corner left, which is that top corner there. So let's stack. Okay, so one important thing that I'm trying to explain to you is now, you've seen on all of these three corners, I've actually tacked the starting point of the tint. This is done because the tint only shrinks one direction. So I can only shrink this tint that way, but I can't shrink the tint that way. If I try to shrink this tint this way, it won't shrink. Instead, it'll just go bend that corner edge and it'll shrink on itself. So I want to save this corner edge. That is why I just tag this, and I won't apply any heat to this edge. So make sure your edges are nicely tacked onto the glass, so you don't want to heat these edges, okay? So tint will not shrink on the factory edges and only shrink to the direction of the roll. So what I mean by tint only shrinks one direction is, this is the whole roll that I have from where I've had that extra tint. Let me just take it out. Oh, hang on, I have this extra bit. So trying to explain you is, these are the factory edge. So this is the 20-inch roll, means that to that is 20 inches or 500 millimeters, depending on how you do it, how you measure your tint. Now, the tint, if I try to shrink this down, I can shrink it that way, but I can't make this length shorter. Makes sense? So if I apply any heat to this edge, what will happen, instead of shrinking like, so if I apply heat to this edge, it'll shrink like this. It won't go that way. Yeah, so if you have a 40 inches roll, means you can't make that 40 shorter. Just keep that in mind, and then it'll get into your mind once you start getting into it. But if I take this roll and I put it on top of the glass, that means is I can shrink it lengthwise, but I can't shrink it widthwise. I don't have an easy enough explanation apart from that. So if you still do not get that, try shrinking each direction and see which way your tint is designed, or which way you put it on top of the glass. It might make it easier for you. Now the time comes to cut the tint to size. What I want to do, I want to put a bright light on top of my seats. So let's just put them to the floor. I'll try to put this bright light at the back of the glass so I can see my edge. So as you can see the edge as well, I'll try to go closer, and there where are my dot matrix start. So I just want to cut. Let's snap this blade. To snap a blade, you can have a hard cut or your grid cut. Just snap it on the opposite direction, it'll snap right through. Okay, so I'll cut maybe 2 millimeters from where my factory edge is. I can see that edge all nicely. Let's just cut that. I can see the bottom all nicely. If you can't see, if you're having trouble having a look at the edge, what can be helpful is turning off your shop lights. So if you turn off your shop lights, it might be a little bit easier for you trying to see what you're cutting at. So I've successfully cut on to the extra bit that I had. Now my tint is all laying flat, which is really good. This is what I want to see. I have a glass. This is what I have inside my shop. I can either use the glass, but for a lot of you guys, if you don't have a big enough glass that you can put this on there, what you can actually do is try to clean all of this area. Yeah, if you clean all of this and then clean all that residue off on top of the glass, you can just pick that liner, spray your tint on, put that liner back on again, and then we'll do that same on the other side. You'll have a little bit of contamination, but this is a DIY video, so you're doing it yourself. But I would recommend you have some sort of glass in your shop. If you don't have a glass, you can use a whiteboard. If you don't have a whiteboard, you can maybe get some plastic sheets, anything that can have you not to peel that liner, spray on top of the car, because this is where all the dirt is, and that'll just make its way through into the tint when you're spraying it down. So this is one thing that's majorly to avoid. If you are having a lot of dirt or specks around your top area when you're installing it, this is what happening. You spraying that tint on top of the glass and you're not cleaning it, and this is where a lot of contamination is. So let's just clean the glass before I put it on there. Even though my shop is all clean, that glass might have some sort of dirt just stick to it. Meanwhile, I'm not doing anything, so I always clean it before I put any tint on there. There you go. Just wet the glass again, because we'll bring that tint and we'll put it on top of this glass. Okay. Just pick it up very carefully. You don't want to kink it to this point. You don't want to crease it. If you crease the film or you kink the film, it will show through after the installation process, so we have to be very careful that you don't do it. Some people get a little bit anxious, or they get surprised on how the tint is sticking to the glass. It's just because of that water. The water between the tint creates a vacuum, and that vacuum is what's helping that piece of plastic stick on top of the glass. So that's what it is. It's not rocket science. Let's just clean the back of that glass, and then we'll do an inspection as well, because I've taken the old tint off this glass. I want to see if there is any tint residue or glue residue left behind. Before I apply my tint, I want to make sure the glass is 100% clean, and any sort of residue that I might see, I'll mark it off, and then we'll clean it from the inside. So what I recommend is have some sort of masking tape if you guys can utilize. I'm doing this as in if I was doing a DIY sort of thing. If I'm doing to my car, I want to have as less contamination inside my glass, so I would like to mask off this top area, because when I'm installing, my tint maybe can touch this top area and it'll bring in a lot of contamination from that roof liner. So what I want to do is I'm just sticking the tint on the inside of it and just masking this top area. It won't hurt if you do it, not necessary if you do it, but also it won't hurt if you do it. You know, it'll just be a safety thing, and it'll help you get a cleaner install. Look, I might do it on some cars as well, some tricky ones that take a lot of patience trying to install the back window. I might do on these cars just because it gets easier. That way I can have my tint hanging to the top area and won't worry about it, because I know I must mask that area with the tape and I won't have any contamination. So just that little bit left, just around there. So yeah, that's it. Now I've masked all my area. Actually, we have taken the plastic off. You can do it as well. There's a lot of videos on how to do it if that's bothering you, or your car's a little bit more deeper and you can't get to it. Removing this is also a good idea. So we've done a lot of things, we've removed a lot of things in there because of the reason that we were actually taking or removing the old tint off. That's why. But you can do the same. It won't hurt if you do it. Spray some water. And then we'll wet this as well, so we'll have less lint flying around, and then we'll scrub the shit out of this glass. And it will not damage any of the glass or any of the demister lines, but what that'll do is it'll just do all the cleaning for you. So that works the same as doing a clay bar on the paint. So if you don't know that, you can search what a clay bar does on top of the painted surface, and this will do the same for the glass. If you barely can hear anything, that means it's pretty damn clean. And this is what I'll do. Wrap this around my glove and then we'll just throw this away inside the bin. Let's wet this guy again and try to squeegee with my cleaning squeegee. Just remove all the water. We'll squeegee all that water to the side, and then once we do that, we'll just squeegee the sides. We'll flush the sides. Okay, squeegee the sides, or you can flush the sides. You guys can, I hope you guys can see what's happening around there. This is the second time that I'm cleaning it. Yep, you guys can see pretty much everything. That's it. Once that's done, same process, we'll squeegee the sides, flush the bottom, and just clean with your installation squeegee. We'll do that just one last time. Just trying to be sure that I've taken off every single bit of this glass and we don't have anything. Make sure while you're squeegeeing that bottom area, your hand doesn't touch the glass. Yep, that's it. Now what we'll do is we'll bring the tint around. We'll wash our hands really good. If you don't have a pressure with you, you can just use a bucket. Just dunk your hands inside the bucket and just clean it. Now this is what we'll do. You can start with the bottom corner or you can start with the top corner, doesn't matter. Let's start with the top corner and do it about 60%, and then we'll put this back. So we are doing a method which is the easier method, and it's called the back roll or the reverse roll. Let's pick it up and then we'll do the rest 40%. There you go. Now just pick it up with your nail, just push it and then it'll start lifting it, and from there on what I want to do is I want to roll the tint to itself, so that way my tint will come on the outside and the liner will be shifted to the inside. As you can see, my tint is now on the outside and my liner is shifting to the inside. Let's pick it up, make it straight, and just have the end all nice and straight with, touching your tint. So you'll see that when the back roll is touching or almost finished or all finished, the liner is sticking to the tint, and then the tint will just actually lift off from there, and then just keep a hand on the liner. All you want is the tint, okay? And then also make sure which side is your top side, which side is the bottom. So this is the top side, and then I'll point my thumb to the top side. That way I'll never lose it. Now once we come inside, let's squeegee everything and wet the glass really good. Now what we'll do is that tint that's lifting, we'll just keep on lifting that tint. We don't want to touch it or anything. I just want to lift it a decent amount so it got some white to it. Now I've lifted about a couple of inches. We'll have that tint stick to the glass just at the bottom, and we'll push it to the bottom till I see no light. Okay, we'll have that for the rest of the glass as well. So this is what I mean when I masked off the the top part. So if my tint is actually touching the top area, I don't worry about any contamination. So meanwhile I'm sticking that tint to the glass, I'm also releasing the liner from the back of the tint itself. So I'm sticking it, meanwhile I'm taking the liner off at the same time. Have a look. So now my tint is sticking to the glass, and I've actually removed the liner as well. Now you got to worry about aligning the top edge of the tint to the top edge of the glass. Top edge, I mean the demist line, where your demist line starts, or where the dot matrix is. And when I was cutting on the outside, I know 100% how much space I had on all the sides and the top. I just had to align the same amount of space to all my sides, so pretty much 3 sides, and then one side will just do itself. So now I know these 2 corners, this is how much space I had on both the corners. Have a deeper look and see if you have any light coming through from your sides, from the bottom, from these sides. No. You can do this with your hand as well. So let's just wet the film a little bit and just trying to push through most of the bubbles out, yeah, with your back of the hand or just front of the hand. Let's just try to make this tint as flat as possible, otherwise this brush will do the same thing as well. This brush will help you not grease the film, but actually remove most of the water and the air pockets, okay, and it helps the tint stick to the surface a little bit better. Meanwhile it won't let it move as well. Let's squeegee the top, squeegee the bottom. So I've made a line across, and then we'll make a sort of an edge pattern or a cross pattern. Now we've got 4 sections to work with. Now we'll do that top area first, and you can start with any you like. This is done. We'll start with that section, and this is done as well. Let's go with the bottom section. As you can see how much force I'm applying, that I'm actually moving the car as well. Okay, let's do all of this. And let's squeegee all of this bottom section out. Once you did that, spray generous amount of water, just a light mist and we'll squeegee just once again, and then we'll make sure every single bit of water is actually taken out, and we're left with no bubbles and just a haze of water behind. So we've actually taken most of it out, and this is where this tool helps. We'll put that to the bottom and we'll squeegee that across and from the area that we couldn't reach, this is very handy. Now we'll go on the outside and we'll do an inspection. Upon inspection, I can see whatever's on the outside. I can see them a lot. This area, just the bottom area, needs a little bit squeegee, and rest everything I can see is all sticking to the glass. I don't see any contamination throughout the glass as well. This area needs a little bit of squeegee, and that's about it. So let's do that. We'll squeegee the bottom area, and then we'll squeegee that side area as well. So for this side, I can just do with my bigger squeegee, and for that bottom I can just do that. Okay, once that's done, all you gotta do is wipe any excessive water or bubbles that are just laying there. And then you can clean this off at the same time as well, because we'll put our trim back on there. It'll be nice and dry. Clean the sides off as well. There is none as electronics at your mostly around the back. They'll get hurt with a little bit of water spraying on it. But if you have an expensive car and you got some sort of modules around this area or that area, make sure you mask them before you start spraying water around these parts. But mostly cars are designed in a way that car manufacturers already know that someone will be tinting these cars, so they already are designed in a way that, you know, water around these areas might not hurt your car. Okay, this is how you install tint. This is how you install tint on a back glass. If you have any more questions for us, make sure you let us know in the comments, and I'll try to make another video as well. We'll do one video for the sides. I am working on an online course that'll pretty much explain a lot of things, and we'll keep it very, very simple and easy for someone who's trying to learn. Obviously it will be paid course, but we'll make it very easy and simple for all of you guys, all of my followers that are trying to watch us on TikTok and YouTube. And this is how we install, guys. If you have any other questions, as I said before, if you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments, and we'll try to make another video trying to explain you a lot of things. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned, because we've got lives happening pretty much 4 to 5 times a week, less or more, and then we'll answer all of your questions on the live, and I'm live as well. We've got different cars. There is YouTube filled with a lot of cars that are already there, so if you want to see us tinting live a lot of cars, you can go to my live section. You can see previous lives, or just make sure you subscribe and turn on your bell notification, so whenever I am live next time, you can see us, and then you can ask a lot of questions as well. All right, peace guys, thank you very much. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.